Before we get started, does anyone want to get hurt? Consider this mercy. I am inevitable.
Welcome back to the Comic Blast podcast. I am miraculously on this episode this week. Hooray! With me is the man who loves purple, Mr. Cole Black.
Yeah, hi. How are you?
I'm doing great. Just got back from a minor vacation.
Everybody say welcome back to Grayson.
Hey, Grayson, welcome back.
Welcome back, Grayson. Oh, thank you.
Hey.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for
We
being
also
back.
have the OG of CB, Keenan.
It's me.
you doing, buddy?
Grayson, happy to have you here. Kind of spontaneous, unexpected, but
Not planned
I
at
think
all.
couple days ago, Cole and I were sitting here and we're like, listen, we're not going to record until Grayson gets back. So we just sat here and waited.
We need Grayson.
And
I am the life of the party.
yeah,
But no, all jokes aside, we had a good amount of stuff to talk about this week, but I was on vacation, and that kind of leads me into one of our introductory points, which is our patrons. I was at the wedding for Jake, who is one of our patrons. He is one of my best friends, and he is very supportive of us. So I want to shout out Jake. Congrats on his marriage, but I also want to shout out our other patrons. We have Sam, Joseph, Jess, who is also our sponsor, Diego, and Caleb. I believe that is all of them, correct? And
yeah, dude, you nailed it.
perfect. And
Congratulations, Jake.
yeah, everybody, send Jake some congratulations. I believe it's on Twitter. At Hey I'm Jake. Tell him congratulations on his newly acquired marriage license. I don't know.
And that Jake is Jayk.
Yes. Apologies. Thank you for correcting me. You two.
How
give me
edgy.
The next patron, I mean, he didn't choose it, by going over to patreon.com/comicblast, where we have a whole list of benefits, and I believe, I cannot promise this. Keenan, should I promise this or not promise this? Should I allude to it?
Dude, you should promise it.
Okay. Promise
Make
it,
it a
and then you can
promise.
shoot me if it doesn't
Overpromise,
happen.
underdeliver.
That's my motto. I believe The Mandalorian starts this Friday, and I believe we are all going to do a watch party. And with that, we're going to record our live reactions to the episodes and put them on our Patreon as an exclusive benefit, where you can get our commentary live through the episode. So if you want our just genuine reactions to cool moments, or me and Cole completely being absolute nerds about every facet of the Star Wars universe, you can check that out on patreon.com/comicblast. And Mandalorian starts this Friday. I'm very excited. You can follow us also at comicblast_ on Instagram and Twitter, where you can get all your updates on Comic Blast. And you can also follow our other two co-hosts who are not here. And before we get into our personal handles, Josh and Jess could not be here with us, but please go send them some love. I think they really deserve it. Just weird times and things like that. I don't want to get specifically into details, but please send love. You can find Jess at Female and Fatal on Instagram, and you can find Josh at Josh Johnson with 2 N's 98 on Twitter and Instagram. And then, Cole, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at the Cosmic Lotus, and on Twitter at And the Force is with me. I mean Instagram. Sorry.
Marvelous. Keenan, where can they find your wonderful face?
Why don't I have a wonderful face?
It's a given.
Okay.
At Keenan Grace, I'm on Instagram and Twitter.
Sick. And you can follow me
Come say
at
hi.
Shradester8 on Twitter and Instagram. Bada bing, bada boom. What's the first piece of news we talking about today, boys? Well, let me tell you, because I don't remember, because you guys made the show notes. We're talking about Red Hood in the DC HBO Max show now, Titans. Cole, just go ahead and let it all out.
All right. I'm just going to say, first off, I am very,
We're
very
so happy
excited.
for him.
I'm very, very excited to be to just be a part of this and to see my good friend Jason Todd, the Red Hood, in live action. Uh, I'm gonna preface this by saying that I don't watch Titans, but
Neither do I.
but the fact that Red Hood is gonna be in it, you bet yourself I'm gonna watch that show, and I am more than excited to see this man on the screen. I think that Jason Todd is a fantastic character in DC Comics. Obviously, he is my favorite, so that's definitely opinionated. But I really want to see how he's played out in the show. I want to see just where his character goes, how it got there, and what exactly happened. It's just incredibly interesting to me, and the fact that I get to see him in official live action, not fan made, even though some of the fan made stuff is really, really good. It's such a pleasure, and
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
It's
to
such a
just see my
sick
boy.
design. Like, I
Oh,
say
yeah,
what you
he
will
looks
with
awesome.
Titans, like the show's quality is definitely a little subpar to say to say it simply.
Yeah,
But their
there's
costume
definitely-
design is amazing.
yeah, I can definitely see some semblance between that one and Arkham Knight. Because with Arkham Knight they started to put the hood up, and even with Red Hood's new rendition in DC Comics, which is one of my favorite designs. It's just very, very simple, but he's got a hood up and he uses a crowbar as a melee weapon, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, hood up, mask. I love the outfit. I can't wait for him.
I agree.
Yeah, that outfit came out today. I saw it floating around on Twitter. I'm not sure if it's concept art or like actually like
It looks
the official
real.
design. It does look pretty real, but when I saw that, I was like, okay, I'm in. Like the actual announcement of Red Hood coming, I was just kind of like, I'm happy for Cole, like because
Thank
Red
you.
Hood's he's cool. He's not like my favorite character or anything like that. Then I saw
You
the
heard it here,
design. I'm like,
folks. Keenan
oh,
thinks Red Hood sucks.
Are you kidding me? Do we need to talk about this? Huh?
Red Hood, he's great. But
We're good.
there's plenty of DC characters out there that I prefer. But like I just my first impression of Cole, like I think I like saw him at Star Wars Celebration, but I'm not sure. I think we follow each other on Twitter or something like at some point in time, or maybe I just saw you because I follow you or something like that. But I remember you had a Red Hood picture, I believe, on
At the
your
Red
Twitter.
Hood 8.
Yeah,
Let's revive
so-
it. Kidding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it was.
So I'm gonna tell a really embarrassing story real quick. We all have those moments, hopefully when we were younger, and we just wanted to be, or just kind of have our persona be a certain one of our favorite characters. And so my first
I'm still
Twitter
that way.
handle, my first Twitter handle ever was at the Red Hood 8, and I just made my avatar pictures of Red Hood that I took in Arkham Knight, and I'm actually an expert at taking Arkham Knight photos.
It's true.
Yeah, you are.
And yeah, that was just me. I really love Red Hood. I've done at least 2 Red Hood cosplays at this
Dude,
point.
and they're good. They're good,
Yeah.
good cosplay.
But I haven't seen those.
And I don't. Yeah, I'll send it to you. I don't know
That'd be great.
why. But I'm really, really into complex characters, and the fact that Red Hood is a Robin who died, then was resurrected, and then became his own vigilante. That's just very intricate, very in depth, and very interesting for me. I think that's why I always felt drawn to him, and it's actually really funny because I used to work for a pizza delivery chain, which I will not name. And there was this older gentleman that I worked with. He wasn't really that gentle, but he was
He was a man.
Yeah, he was just a man, this older man that I worked with, and he used to be very much into graphic novels and comics at the time. And I'm not sure if you guys are familiar, but the reason why Jason Todd as Robin died was because DC sent out a poll asking the fans if they wanted him to die or not.
And
And
DC fans said, "Yeet!"
Yeah, exactly. The reason why people said that, and I will agree with this, Jason Todd, he sucked as Robin. He was the worst. Like Batman was like be a good guy, and Jason was like, I ain't gonna do that.
I agree.
And so so DC fans were not too happy, and they were like, hey, we're just gonna vote for him to be killed off. And the gentleman,
now.
well, just the man that I knew at this pizza delivery chain, he voted for him to die. And I looked at him, I straight up looked at him, and I said, thank you. Because it turned Jason Todd into such a good and complex character that I am so happy that my boy was killed and then brought back. But yeah, he's just one of my favorite characters. It's really good to see him. I'm sure it will be very good to see him in live action. I want to see him in an Under the Red Hood movie, like a live action Under the Red Hood movie, one day.
Baby
Hopefully that'll
steps.
happen.
So here's my
Baby
worries
steps.
with like the actual plot of Titans is basically we've seen Jason Todd already appear in Titans, from what I know.
Yeah.
And basically he's like, "Wah, I don't like the Titans," and like he's basically gonna just turn into Red Hood. Like he's not gonna die or anything. He's just gonna get really mad at the Titans and just turn into Red Hood and like fight them. Which is kind of lame.
I don't know. I don't like that. I mean, his ideologies kind of, you can see where it happens. But the biggest reason as to why he turned into Red Hood was because he died, and Batman did not kill Joker for that reason.
And Batman's not, not even really a part of Titan. Well, he kind of is.
And with the Under the Red Hood animated movie, Jason's motives for returning was the fact that Batman did not kill Joker as a payment. And so he knew at that moment that perhaps just taking out the villains was the way to go. And while I don't necessarily agree with the ideology, I do find his character to be extremely interesting, and that's why I love him. He's just great. He's still a good person, but he's extremely passionate and motivated about his shifted ideals. And I always love the just the notion of what could happen to a Robin that decided to go against what Batman had trained him to do. Which kind of makes you think about, what if Batman went bad? And we've seen that a bunch of times before, especially the Batman Who Laughs, when Batman just goes completely crazy.
I mean, there's also Thomas Wayne Batman.
Yeah, Thomas Wayne Batman for Flashpoint, stuff like that. And Batman would be absolutely merciless in case he decided to just take one criminal's life, because that is the I remember him saying, like, quote from the Under the Red Hood movie, if he goes down into that place, he will never come back. So that is one of the things that I find most interesting. I feel like I've turned this into a tangent of why I love Red Hood as a character. I think I think it fits.
I kind of have a question for you, Cole.
Mm-hmm.
Two questions. Okay, since the news of this casting happening, does it make you want to go back and watch the first season of Titans? And then secondly, if you watch the second season and this show still sucks, but Redhead
this is the third season.
Looks oh, is it the third season?
There's
It
two
shows
seasons
just how
out
much I
right
do
now.
not care about this show.
Yeah.
So if this third season sucks, but Red Hood looks cool, and he has, he kind of like is the shining point of the show, will you be happy with it or disappointed?
So it's extremely conditional. The answer to the first question is yes. As soon as I heard that Red Hood was going to be in the show, I was like, well, I'm gonna taper back and watch the show. It's gonna happen at some point. I'm gonna go through it. However, if it does end up being bad, I will be a little bit disappointed, because unfortunately that will be Red Hood's first debut on the small screen. And in that same vein, if he does poorly on the small screen, studios for the big screen will think, well, then this is a bad idea to put him on, and therefore they will not.
Especially WB.
Yeah, exactly.
They love to do that.
There will be a lot of people saying that, it wasn't Red Hood that did anything, but the way that the studios look at it
Mhm.
They're probably going to be very hesitant about putting him back on. This actually harkens back to the deal with Assassin's Creed Unity.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
the multiplayer was actually really good and entertaining, and it had a great idea and premise behind it. But because of the fact that the game did so poorly because it was rushed, they never did it again. They took that one segment about the game and just thought, well, then
It's
this
all
was the
bad.
problem. Right, yeah. And they just kind of said, well, I mean, this is all bad, so we're just not going to do it again. So I'm really hoping that they play him well. Even if the show is bad, I'm hoping that Red Hood will be good. And if the show is bad and Red Hood is good, I'll still be happy because I don't care about the Titans show. I care about my son. um, so yeah, if he's played well, then yeah,
I want to watch
absolutely,
it
I will be.
for the same reason of like Nightwing is now on the show, and now that Red Hood would be in there, and I'm like, yo, if we get a Nightwing Red Hood fight, like,
We have to. We have
Be
to.
cool.
Absolutely.
yeah. Well, one day, Cole will be Red Hood, and I will be Nightwing. We will dress up. It's gonna happen. I want it to happen.
I've already got the tools, so
He's already got it. Like, I have to get like a black and blue spandex suit. So that's cool.
yeah, I've got like these army boots. I have a retractable, of course, manual Red Hood mask. I have
Oh yeah.
gauntlets with spikes on the sides. I've got just
Airsoft
fake,
pistols.
yeah, 2 fake airsoft pistols. It's all set up. All I
The
really
jacket with the hoodie.
Yeah, all I think I really need to do is to replace the shirt with the Red Hood symbol on it with a breastplate that has the Red Hood symbol.
That would be sick. Yeah, there
Or
was
like,
that
armor.
Winter Soldier versus Red Hood fight, and despite
Yeah.
like the ending of it or whatever, their designs were sick. Like Red Hood
They,
was dope.
as far as I know, in that fight they used the exact same helmet that I bought, and they
Oh,
just
yeah.
weathered it up. Yeah, they just weathered it up and added a few gadgets.
And they made
Like
the eyes
mine-
light up.
Right, yeah, mine looks pristine, crystal clean. I prefer theirs because it actually looks like he's been through some stuff. And
Yeah.
knowing Jason, he doesn't particularly care about how good his armor looks.
He's got that rugged outlaw vibe.
Yeah, yeah. So I might, I've got several friends that kind of work around stuff like that. So I might try to get them to weather up the cosplay. But yeah.
Yeah, pretty dope. Keenan, you have any last thoughts before we move on?
No, I'm just happy for Cole.
Yeah, no, I am as well.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Moving on to more DC news, Jared Leto is reprising his role as the Joker, but apparently it's just footage that they have already recorded, and he's gonna reprise his role in the Snyder Cut for Justice League. Sorry, I need to make that distinction clear. Oh, Keenan,
Yeah,
let's
because the
start
internet
with you.
kind of just like the internet, myself included, because I typically don't read articles. I just look at the headline, and I'm just one of those people.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, so yeah, I saw the article, and then I saw people tweeting out like, "Calm down." It's just like the original shot stuff. My guess right now is that it's the post credit scene. So
Deathstroke.
Joe, what's his last name?
Manganiello
Yeah,
or
the
Manganiello?
Deathstroke. Yeah, so Flash Thompson tweeted out that it was because he got reported that he was returning or whatever. He's like the original post credit scene.
I don't want to fight you,
My
Flash.
guess is that Joker
Yeah, I wouldn't wanna
is
fight me
going
neither.
to.
So sorry, Keenan. Okay, I'll shut up.
No, but I think I think Joker is in the original post credit scene. I think they cut him out after Suicide Squad was just awful and nobody liked his Joker. That's just my opinion. So I think he's just probably gonna pop up in this post credit scene for
See,
Dark Justice League or whatever.
people are mad about it, and I'm like, here's the thing. Honestly, I did not like Jared Leto's Joker, but for the pure fact of
Same.
continuity, and I would like to see him possibly like get a second wind to kind of course correct his Joker a little bit. Like I liked his kind of like gangster mob boss feel for Joker, where he's just like this crazy mob boss dude. But the pure fact of continuity for the DCEU, if they wanted to rebuild it, I would like to see Jared Leto come back. So that's what makes me happy. I don't like his Joker. One of the worst Jokers ever, in my opinion. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like his design I think is cool. Like I like the tattoos, except the tattoos on the face. I like his sense of fashion. Like he feels like a different take on Joker, but it works but then his like laugh is like, I don't like it, and he's like, you don't want no beef, you don't want no beef, like, and then
You don't want no beef.
he's like, we're gonna, I don't know, it's just so bad.
The most overhyped Joker of all time.
I remember that. I remember that season.
Joker at Thanksgiving. So you want beef or turkey? I don't want beef. You don't want no beef? You don't want no beef? No, I was gonna mention this is actually extremely interesting because I brought up the idea of this before, especially with Justice League, the fact that they want to bring it back and just kind of improve upon it. If they are bringing back Jared Leto's Joker into the Justice League, and it does well, I almost guarantee that Jared Leto's Joker is not done. I don't think that this will be his last play.
I think it is.
But if they continue on with the universe, what are they going to do?
I'm just reading what's going on. Like, Harley Quinn broke up with the Joker. Obviously, that's like a course correction. Secondly, he's playing Morbius. That's probably going to be a multi-picture deal. On top of that, he's he's going to be in Tron. There's just no room for the Joker, and it just receives such heavy backlash. I don't think DC wants to touch that ever again, especially after the success of Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. Because I think they realized how important this character really is to people, and obviously, like, that version of Joker just did not deliver. I don't know really who's at fault for that. I don't know if it's Jared Leto. I don't know if it's David Ayer. I don't know if it's WB. All I know is I don't really care to see him ever again.
Yeah, I think it'd be very interesting if there was like I always thought it'd be cool if they wanted to do it like he's not the real Joker, kind of go along with that storyline
like
they're currently doing, where there's the 3 Jokers, and make it where he's like an imposter Joker, and the real Joker is kind of like lurking in the shadows. I mean that too, but like timeline wise, it wouldn't make sense unless they did something with like Flashpoint or whatever. But I think it's just cool to like we get the acknowledgement. I also want to
see a version of Joker for Pattinson.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I would love to see Robert Pattinson's Batman and then Joaquin Phoenix's Joker go.
Yeah, I think that would be great.
Can you imagine?
But it's not going to work now that we know that the Batman is not set in the 90s. It's definitely set in modern day. Cole, we've talked about
we were lied to.
I don't know. I think it could still work. I mean, they could easily just as much say as, this is a different point in time. You know, like, they'll just say that. If they wanted to connect it, they could. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe, but it's like there's a 50-year time gap there.
Yeah.
Like 50 or 40 years.
There really is.
Like,
it's about 40 years.
And he's already 40. He'd be like 80.
Robert Pattinson's Batman is like, I'm here, Joker. And Joker's like, how you doing, babe?
He's laughing and goes,
reminds me of a joke.
I think like we're not really going to get a good grasp on what's going on in the DCEU until Flashpoint happens.
When it comes to
we really have no idea what's going on.
I mentioned this several episodes ago. When it comes to DC, they're just kind of like, we're just going to do stuff and see what happens.
Yeah.
I feel like nothing
100%.
connects at this point. Joker is in its own universe. The Batman is in its own universe. And I mean, it's kind of symbolic of the way that DC does their comics, because they're doing rebirths in multiple universes all the time.
New 52, then Rebirth. Yeah, there's been like everything.
But I would really like for it to become a consistent thing that they can get behind. The problem was that they just really decided to jump the gun with BVS and Justice League. They started off, in my opinion, pretty strong with Man of Steel. But instead of doing a Batman Central movie or a Wonder Woman Central movie, they just went to BVS and put Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman in the same movie at once. And then they went to Wonder Woman and then Justice League. So they were just trying to catch up almost immediately, which really messed them up.
I think it would have been interesting had they did like Batman or Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, did those 3 movies. Then they did a Trinity movie Okay,
BVS.
instead of do a BVS
Instead of Justice League.
and then not even instead of Justice League, then we get the other characters movies, then we get Justice League. So like BVS would have been kind of like, I mean, and this is what it still is, but we would have had more of like a, okay, we don't have a full Justice League yet. We have these three heroes that are still having their differences, but they come together in the end. But then Superman dies. Then it's like, okay, we have Wonder Woman and Batman still around, like trying to assemble these other characters. They get their solo movies. We get Aquaman, Flash, and Cyborg. Maybe not even Cyborg, just like Flash and Aquaman to get their movies, and then Cyborg is introduced in Justice League. It just like, I mean, it just went so fast. Like, and the fact that like Suicide Squad was like just so like put in there. It was like, hey, like Guardians of the Galaxy was a movie that it was put in like well into the MCU, and there was like Suicide Squad was like the Guardians of the Galaxy, and they were like, let's do it as like what? There was Man of Steel. What was after Man of Steel? It wasn't Man of Steel then Suicide Squad, was it? It was Man of Steel, then BVS, then Suicide Squad.
Yeah, I think that's how it went.
And then Wonder Woman. Yeah, I don't know. It just, I mean, we've talked about this before, so yeah. Let's move on to another topic. Another happy day.
I'm just gonna preface the awkward silence for a second. While Grayson was talking, I took out this massive gallon of water to drink from it, and then Keenan and I muted our mics and just started to crack up. So that's why we were very quiet.
And I'm like trying to like let them get it together while I'm carrying the show. If they're definitely like, I'm like, okay, they're gonna get over it in a couple seconds, and they're just laughing more, and I'm like, help me.
Well, it made me laugh more because I saw that Keenan was he basically just huddled himself to a side of the camera and just to get it all out.
It's only funny because like the water didn't really like make me laugh. It's the time what was it, a few weeks ago when you pulled out that like gallon of green tea or whatever it was.
Yeah. Listen, I don't have a lot of money.
If Cole doesn't pull out a gallon of something on an episode, it's not Comic Blast.
Jeez,
I just. All right, we're moving on to another piece of news that it must be Cole's freaking day today.
Moon Knight.
Oscar Isaac is reportedly playing Moon Knight, according to Deadline. This is a very trustworthy source, not confirmed yet, but this is what
crazy,
may
man.
be our man for
crazy
for Moon Knight. Cole, just go ahead and tell us your thoughts. I know you're the Moon Knight guy on this podcast.
So, I didn't expect for Mr. Oscar Isaac to be the Moon Knight. However, I'm more than happy for this to be true because I actually, for my philosophy class, I had to watch Ex Machina, which is a really good movie. It came out in 2014. Or at least,
So good.
It's really good. It's got Donald Gleason in there as well. And one thing that I've noticed, I did have to watch that recently, and his portrayal in that movie is very two-sided because he starts out as one character and then ends up as another character. I'm not going to spoil it, of course.
100%.
And I was just thinking about it when I heard the confirmation, and I think that Oscar Isaac could do a really great job. And I'm more than excited to see him as Mr. Mark Spector. Oh man, I love Moon Knight so much. Just give me that show, please.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Oscar Isaac has incredible range, and like we said, it's not confirmed, but it's almost entirely likely. But like, take it with a grain of salt because Tatiana Maslany was cast as She-Hulk, and she straight up like denied it. She's like, I have not heard anything about that, unless she's lying. Which the way she said it was like, she was very much like she wasn't lying. She was like, I don't know where people are getting this from, but like that's not true. It was very deliberately like not the case. So like, if there's something that happens very soon where an interview comes up with Oscar Isaac, there's a good chance he's like, I don't know where people are getting that from. Like, I've not been approached to do that.
Keep this in mind. They are most definitely instructed to say that, whether she is or isn't. Because think about Ewan McGregor, who denied the fact of reprising his role as Obi-Wan Kenobi for years.
That is true.
But they had been in talks about it that entire time. And also, with Mark Hamill at the end of Arkham City, he said that that would be his last play as the Joker. And I believed that. I absolutely believed that.
Yeah.
And he came back for Arkham Knight, and he came back for the Killing Joke animated movie. Stuff like that. Yeah. Sure, take it with a grain of salt, but also don't believe one way over the other. Just kind of see what happens.
Yeah.
I'd
say there's like probably like a 70% chance Oscar Isaac being Moon Knight is true. There's always that
given
little
the fact
bit
that his deadline, especially.
Exactly, yeah. Like Hollywood Reporter, Deadline, like those are usually trustworthy sources. But yeah, back to what you were saying, Cole. Like I think he'd be a great choice. The only thing that I'm skeptical on is Moon Knight is Jewish. Like he is a Jewish man. So I'm like, from what I looked up, and some people were saying that Oscar Isaac has a little bit of Jewish in him. I looked it up and I'm like, that's not true.
I don't
at
think
least
so.
From what I can find. He's Guatemalan, mostly. And so I'm like, I'd like to see an accurate, like a Jewish man playing Moon Knight. I'm not against the idea of Oscar Isaac playing him, but it's also because like he is a person of color and like he's not just another white guy per se, but like it's
also he's just a phenomenal actor. Like you're getting an A-list actor to play this very obscure character, not to Cole, but to most people.
I would say Moon Knight is like a C-list character that has recently risen through the ranks in comic books, but to general audiences, like even today, multiple people sent me this article. I'm like, yep, I know, I saw it, I know. And I remember like one girl was like, "Don't kill me, but I don't know who Moon Knight is," and I'm like, most people don't. Like, it's just
it's totally okay. Moon Knight is who I would classify as a sleeper. You know,
absolutely,
for sure.
He's really good, but he just hasn't gotten the limelight that I believe that he deserves. In terms of Oscar Isaac and whether or not Moon Knight should be played in a Jewish role, his first introduction to live action, it does not particularly matter to me as long as they stay true to his character, and that he is played well.
Yeah.
So.
I think he's still going to be great, and I think a lot of the people wanted like Keanu Reeves to be Moon Knight, and I'm like,
oh no.
I'm like, listen, the concept sounds amazing, but the execution would not be amazing. Like, it's
I love the dude, not the great of an actor.
He's not.
I love Keanu Reeves, but Keanu Reeves plays Keanu Reeves characters, if you know what I mean.
He's typecast.
Yeah.
And as much as I love him, I don't think that he would have that sort of range that Moon Knight really needs. Moon Knight's character is specifically based around that range, right?
Oh, it's literally like is it Kevin from Split?
Basically, yeah.
Like that's literally what it is.
He's got multiple personality disorder, I believe,
and he's insane.
Yeah, he's the man is nuts. And I would absolutely love to see.
He's definitely an anti-hero for sure. I mean, he started out as Marvel's Batman, like he was kind of like a knockoff Batman,
absolutely.
And then they slowly started turning him into a really in-depth character of giving him these personality traits and like, okay, like what if the moon god the Egyptian moon god Khonshu like took over his mind and like. Yeah, some of the more recent Moon Knight comics, I mean, I remember Cole got some within the past couple of years and read them. They are so good. They've really fleshed out that character, and I think that's the reason why they're definitely exploring that.
It's not just baseline multiple personality disorder. Moon Knight is legitimately schizophrenic.
Yeah.
So, please, if you
need
get
a good actor
there,
to pull out.
Play it well. Yeah, you need an A-list actor to be able to carry that out, or a sleeper that really proves his worth.
Cole, were you the same way with me, where your first exposure to Moon Knight was through Web of Shadows?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And what's funny is that I did not like him when I played.
Oh, he's kind of a dick.
Well, yeah, I was like, this guy, like, he just keeps on talking about Khonshu
He's like,
what?
Spider-Man,
Why?
drop the generator, and he's like, I'll shoot you.
Yeah,
I can't
I'm just
swear,
trying to be
but-
Spider-Man. I'm swinging around, and then suddenly this gigantic friggin' moon ship just comes up and is like, "Stop, Spider-Man! In the name of Khonshu." I'm like, "Shut up." But yeah, nowadays I absolutely love Moon Knight.
Dude, it's cool. You can summon him
really-
as like a team up character, which is
Yeah.
dope.
I really want him to be. I really want the Moon Knight show to be on the level of the Daredevil show. I want it to be that
Oh,
good.
please.
Ooh,
Because please,
I
do
don't want to
not.
set my expectations that high.
well, yeah, but please do not butcher my boy as you are finally introducing him to the masses, because people know about Daredevil now, a lot more people. But if you bring Moon Knight out and you absolutely just it's just bombed, he's never gonna make it. He's never going to make it. So it has to be played right. Do it right or don't do it. You know what I'm saying?
Justice for Moon Knight.
Justice for
I think
justice for
Oscar Isaac's a guy.
Oh yeah.
Oh
I
yeah,
think-
Oscar Isaac's got it. But it's all about the writing and the direction and the visual effects, stuff like that. Make sure that it's good, it pops, and that it is a proper story that we can follow along with. Because we've all seen it before. A-list actors can give it their all, but if the story is bad, it's not gonna make it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Let's move on to, well, I don't really know if there's much else to move on to this like last part. But other than just kind of general Mandalorian discussion, like just overall excitement for it. I know there was a piece of news recently that the first episode is supposed to be 52 minutes, which is like the longest episode of The Mandalorian thus
Well, I
far.
want to hear.
And I'm like, yes, please. Like, I really hope like every episode this season is at least 42 minutes.
Yeah.
Keep it like as close to an hour as possible, because
Yeah.
like the first season, I think the first episode was like around 30 minutes and the second one was like 20 something.
Yeah, it was like 28.
something around
Like,
there.
I think the lowest was 28.
Ah.
The highest was like 51 or something. It was very inconsistent. I'm like, keep it.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, here's the thing: is Disney, they have the liberty of doing whatever length they want to do because they don't have
Sure.
commercial breaks. Like the way commercial television worked was like you have an hour break with 15 minutes of ads, so the episode has to be 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Right.
Which sometimes can ruin the quality because I'm like, what if you don't want it to be that long? Like,
Yeah. You're
and
stretching
so-
it and filling it with stuff.
so but like at the same time, like with The Mandalorian, I'm like, I want it to at least be 40 minutes. Like, I think 40 minutes is a good level because it's like that's what people are usually used to. And if you want to go a little bit longer, that's cool. But like, I don't think going below 35 minutes is acceptable. I don't think going below 40 is really acceptable. Like, I'm just like, this is
Sure.
a massive show, like a very high caliber. Like, this isn't the Clone Wars where all the episodes are like 22 minutes, you know? Like,
Well, I mean, in my personal opinion, I mean, I'm not going to say that I don't care how long the show is because, you know, if it were 10 minutes, that'd be a little disappointing. But
yeah, that would be rough.
as long as it is as engaging as the first season, I'm fine with the time, you know?
But see, that's
Just,
the thing is where I disagree.
I would argue that.
I don't think
Yeah.
the first season was that engaging.
I agree 100%.
But the reason why we
I
love
feel like-
Mandalorian so much, it was so good, right? We're so
It
excited
was
for this
good.
second
It was good. It's
They
not
were
like
amazing
it's not like Daredevil.
episodes and really good episodes. And the good episodes, I believe, were like, they were good and I wanted them there, but I also wanted like really high quality. I wanted those more.
It
of
was
those high
a
quality.
it was a
episodes.
good
Yeah.
setup season, but it wasn't everything I wanted it to be. I love Din
Right.
Djarin.
I
I
agree.
love the child. Like, these other characters are cool. But I remember, Keenan, if you remember, like, we kept
had
on asking
concerns the
every
whole
week,
time.
like, when is this show going to actually have an overarching plot? When is it going to not be filler?
Story. Yep.
I'm like, the quality here is amazing. The action is incredible. The actors are doing a really great job here. But, like, it's very, like, the teen version of Clone
DLC.
Wars. Like, I mean, yeah, there was, like,
It was a lot of side quests
mhm.
throughout the whole season, and it didn't really start to like come around until the very last episode, I believe, when characters that I cared about and wanted to learn more about appeared in that final episode.
Right.
Yeah.
But I remember Grace and I, we would talk every week. We would do a review of The Mandalorian and would be like, this was a really good episode and I definitely enjoyed it, but I still want more time with this character and I want to figure out where this plot is going.
Like it felt like
And
mini
we
little space
compared it to,
adventures.
like, it felt like honestly did feel a lot like structured like Clone Wars, where you're like, I love the season, and sometimes you do want a week where you can take a break and do this little side, story or something like that, and it's an enjoyable, little story. But when it comes to a show like this, you don't really have time to do that in an 8-episode season. You're like, we have 8 episodes to accomplish what we need to accomplish, and really make a compelling story. And I feel like there were about 3 or 4 episodes that really felt that way. And then there were 3 or 4 episodes that also felt like they were enjoyable. And I'm glad we got it. Like the second episode, I really enjoy that episode. But was it absolutely necessary?
Yeah.
That's my
Well, I think
question.
like it was like the first 3 episodes were really good for me. Like we're having a flow here. It was episodes 4 to 6 where it was like
Sure.
it was 4, 5, and 6. I'm like 4 was the whole like farm thing. I was like, all right, seen this before in Star Wars. Like this was
Right.
cool, but like not much to it. Then we get the Tatooine thing, and I'm like, interesting, not much to it.
Least favorite
Episode
episode.
6 like is the prison. Cool episode. Not much
Yeah.
to it. I'm like, there's you're not taking me anywhere with these characters. They're just like going through these obstacles, and it's like villain of the week basically. Like
It
Sure,
is true.
yeah.
It does feel like we're just gonna call it Din Djarin's Adventures.
yeah, with Baby
just-
Yoda.
Yeah, he just kind of
Saturday
does
morning
things.
cartoons.
And maybe that's what they were trying to go for. But I am with you guys. I do hope that they do create more of an overarching story. It looks like we're getting there. Have they mentioned how long season 2 is going to be in terms of episodes? Like how many episodes are there going to be?
10?
I thought it was 8 to 10. I'm not exactly sure.
I do hope
Yeah.
that they can carry it over.
I'll look
though.
it up real quick because I actually would like to know that.
Yeah, it's
announced.
kind of an important detail. My like kind of like piggybacking off what you said, Cole, is that like there are characters that I'm very interested in, but we also have like a lot of reporting for characters that are being introduced.
Yeah.
And as much as I do want to see those characters on live action, I also want to kind of get some time to flesh out those characters' story arcs, like Cara Dune and
Yeah.
maybe Gideon. Like I would like to figure out more of that. So I'm like going into the season, I'm a little bit, just a tiny bit concerned about the number of players that are going to be in this season. Based on
The-
rumors.
Yeah, the problem with this is that all of the characters that we know and love, we love them because they had their time. But Disney has this very, very strong, and actually a lot of media does. They have this very, very strong issue with fan service.
Yeah.
Yes, we like fan service. We do like it when a beloved character appears, but we aren't going to like your new characters if you keep on throwing them in with characters we already know and not giving them their own time to develop and shine. Because let's say somewhere later down the season, the rumors are true, and then Ahsoka is suddenly in all of the episodes around the end. She's going to steal the
She-
show. We're not
She's
going to
stealing
get
that.
Yeah, no one is going to process any of the development from the Mandalorian or the child and stuff like that. And so when the new season starts and let's say Ahsoka leaves, we're just gonna go like, oh man, we're stuck with this guy again.
Yeah.
So I just want them to be sure because I mean we're almost positive at this point that Boba Fett's gonna show up as well, Bo-Katan,
Yep.
stuff like that.
Sabine,
please,
possibly.
yeah, please keep it controlled. I don't want the Mandalorian to be who's gonna be the guest Star Wars star this week, right?
It's like the cameos in sitcoms where they're like, "Whoa, man, watch where you're going." Wait, it's you, and you hear the thunder like, woo! And they're like,
Whoa, it's friggin' CEO Bibble.
yo, Jarl Poof, what's up,
Yo,
man?
it's Jarl Poof. Dude, it's that mouse droid from the Star Destroyer.
That happened a lot in that Tatooine episode.
Honestly, it's just like Tusken Raider.
So let's think about it this way. With the episodes in Star Wars Rebels, where it was where like Ezra was there, but then they threw in Maul, who were you focused on the most? Do you remember much of Ezra's development in those scenes? Or were you just like, oh man, I'm looking at Maul right now?
Maybe I'll play devil's advocate here, but I actually think Maul's inclusion was actually very good for Ezra's development.
Oh no, see, here's the thing. It was really good. I'm not going to deny that. But the fact that they used Maul to ascend said development instead of having his actual, like Ezra having to deal with things that are unrelated to the overarching story of Star Wars, it kind of makes you feel like these new characters are only good because they're so dependent on the old characters.
Yeah.
And I just want to be
fair.
sure that we can establish new characters that we know and love without having to think about the other ones. I want to look back at The Mandalorian once everything is said and done and say, wow, I love those characters and their development. Instead of saying, wow, I love, wow, it looks like all those characters that we know and love just kind of carried The Mandalorian's development, you know?
Yeah.
Because all the characters introduced in the prequels and the originals, they carried their own weight and stuff like that.
And you had Yoda and R2-D2 and 3PO and stuff, but they weren't like stealing the show. It was like, well, these characters were there, but they weren't like taking it all, you know?
Yeah, this is their story. We're not supposed to be watching Bo-Katan's story. We're not supposed to be watching Ahsoka Tano's story. We're not supposed to be watching 40-year-old Luke Skywalker's story. We're supposed to be watching the story of Din Djarin and the child, you know, Cara Dune.
If it's integral to the plot, then it'll be good, but I guess we just have to see. Because we're making assumptions at this point. Like, if these characters are going to be in here, I assume, from what I know, the characters that are going to be in this show are going to be I think they're going to work for this show specifically. Like, if I don't know, I feel like if Leia or something showed up, that'd be like weird. But I mean, Boba Fett, it's the show called The Mandalorian. Boba Fett popping up in the show, which basically he would not exist without his creation, makes sense.
Yeah.
Ahsoka being kind of like this Jedi figure, like that maybe the Mandalorian needs to take the child to, makes sense. The Darksaber would make sense to have Bo-Katan and Sabine because they were both wielders of the Darksaber. We know that's a big player in the show now. Like, I don't think Captain Rex is going to be in the show, despite what people think. I'm like, if Tamora Morrison's probably coming back as Boba, not Captain Rex, but maybe they'll throw a curveball in there just as like a small, like, little cameo thing. So I even think like they could probably do Luke Skywalker properly if it was very brief. Like, if they gave the child to Luke Skywalker, or like if Luke and Din Djarin teamed up like very briefly, that would be pretty sick. Like, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
I'm not against any of these characters popping up because I want to see all of these characters pop up. My concern is when we get to those 20-30 minute episodes.
Yep.
And there's only 8 of them. Then I'm like starting to figure, like, that's when I start to panic, and I'm like, I still don't have enough time for these characters.
For example, they have crossover events all the time, and it's because they have 23 episodes a season that are 45 minutes. Mandalorian has 8 episodes. I did check 8 episodes for season 2 that are anywhere from 30 to 50 minutes long, sometimes even shorter than 30 minutes.
Yeah, I mean
that worries me.
I'm not. I agree with you guys there. I'm not against the cameos coming up. I'm certainly not against that because I love these characters. Because, you know, one of the things that I love about Star Wars is that the overarching expanse, like this story of the galaxy and how it comes together, I love how it's a lot more complex than just the main movies. A lot of things happen in the background. All I'm saying is just Disney, be cautious, right?
Mhm.
Because I want to love your new characters, and I really am starting to, but just don't oversaturate it with people we already know, because then that's just you're sticking to the old stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's just my opinion on it.
I concur. Well, probably need to wrap this episode up, but I was going through Twitter, and I just wanted to say for like 5 minutes, like, just go ahead and, Keenan, express your excitement for Miles Morales. Get it off your chest just for a little bit.
Oh my God,
and
5 minutes? That's all I get? All right, first off, we're about 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks away from Spider-Man Miles Morales. It's all I talk about anymore. That's all I really care about anymore. I forgot about the Mandalorian until somebody mentioned it in the Discord chat, because I've been so looking forward to this. Game Informer's coverage has been amazing. I don't want to spoil anything because I wanted to talk to Grayson about some stuff that they revealed in some footage, but I know you've been avoiding it because you just want to experience the game. Mm-hmm. But from what I'm hearing, the game's, because I think we're all pretty much going to be playing it on PS4. From what I'm hearing, the game's still going to look really good on PS4. Probably not run as well as it would be on PS5. But anyways, really looking forward to this game. I'm going to do a replay of The City That Never Sleeps because there's a lot of Miles in that, and like character development for Miles in that DLC. So I'm going to replay that before the game. And I'm hoping at some point in time we're going to be able to do some sort of stream for it. But
yeah, I would love to have like a commentary where you and I sit down and like live stream and just like answer people's questions and just do like specific things or whatever. That just sounds so fun to me. And I would love to do that with the PS5 remaster, except I hate Peter Parker. I don't want to talk about it.
Well, you're going to see Peter Parker in this Miles Morales game with the remastered face.
But what if like the PS4 version of Miles Morales is like the PS4 version of Peter Parker, but the PS5 version? They're just like what if they did that? That'd be
hilarious.
That would be so funny, but make me so mad. Like, yeah. But yeah,
dude, there's some things in this game that they really improved on from the PS4 game, because I'm just like, I'm seeing like not only animations, combat, and everything like that, but the set pieces that you're gonna see in this game are mind blowing, and the detail that goes into those set pieces are gonna blow you away. Because there's a chase sequence that you haven't seen, Grayson, yet. That they showed off, and I'm like, yes, I'm like, holy cow, they actually did that.
Everyone is telling me like, have you seen the Rhino chase? And I'm like, no,
dude, it's insane. It's insane.
I'm so excited to play it myself. Like that's
Peter's in it as well.
All I saw was the ending where he does the
bro. No, it's gonna be great.
But yeah, I know it's gonna be sick. The next couple weeks are gonna be chock filled with the gaming stuff. I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah, that's gonna do it for this episode of Comic Blast. Thank you all for listening. If you're not, you're not. Big brain. You can follow us at Comic Blast _ on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow me at Straightster8 on both of those places as well. Cole at And the Force is With Me on Instagram, and at The Cosmic Lotus on Twitter, and then at Keenan Creates for Twitter and Instagram. Once again, go follow our other co-hosts that couldn't be with us, at Female and Fatal on Instagram, and at Josh Johnson with 2 N's 98 on Twitter and Instagram. Patreon.com/comicblast, all that fun stuff. I don't got anything else left to say except one thing, and that one thing, Shazam.
How about that?
The tiny dancer. Good job, Grayson. Good job, buddy.
Good job, Grayson.
Hey, we need to.